Hello, I'm Håkan and I'm a university teacher at Aalto University in Finland. In this video I was planning on going through some of the details of putting an online course on our Moodle platform. And the course has been a cooperation, or the original course was created by myself and Lydia Rauramo, and we published that on WordPress on an LMS called Lifter. But then now later, it's been decided to actually move it to one of our better supported platform, which is based on Moodle. So this is really not about how to create the content of the course, but actually mainly going through some of the details that we learned in actually then implementing this existing course on the new platform. So Aalto is running Moodle on multiple platforms. So this one is called OpenLearning, and it's based right now, I think, on Moodle 4.3, and the theme or the template is called Boost, to which there have been then done some Aalto-specific modifications. So you can see here now the course entry page. This is what the students would see when they would get to the course. The kind of how to get to this point at Aalto. If you are an Aalto student, then you just sign up with your Aalto credentials to OpenLearning, and then you are automatically created an account on this OpenLearning platform. We can also take in people who are not Aalto students, in which case they have to go through then a specific sort of account creation process, and after that they could join the course. How we get to this point here at Aalto in terms of basic course setup is that we apply for a course to our admins, and they set up the course, and also then they work in that. When they set it up, they also define how you actually enroll. So in this case we have self-enrollment enabled, so once a student comes to this page, they can enroll themselves. They will need an enrollment key, and that is then distributed to them through our other sort of learning management system, so we can control that the key is sort of available mainly just to our students. So this is now what the students would have seen. So here's a brief description of the course, and then here at this side, of course, we have then the course content. So how did we actually get to this place? So let's take a look, and we can start then with an empty project like this. So this is what the course would look like just after we have received access to it from our admins. So now let's see how we can go about actually then making a course out of this. So I'll first discuss a little bit, how to set up the general structure, then some notes about how to include video material, then some notes about how to create quizzes, and then some notes about how to sort of set up the progress and how the course then actually gets to be completed by the students. So these will be the main topics of the video. So let's get started. Here we now have then the sections. So I'll just enable edit mode here, and then the first thing, of course, is so I'll just call this lesson 1. And now you can see here that we've created a new lesson. So now when I have modified the name for the lesson, then I can start adding content to the lesson. So the way I like to do it now is actually then, when we add this, we get a number of resources that can be used, and here's the list of the resources that are available on the Aalto system. What you have on your specific Moodle implementation can vary. But out of these resources, I just want to now initially add some textual data, and actually I'd just like to use the page. Why? Well, it's actually quite easy to use, and it actually shows up very nicely then in the course listing. So let's add lesson 1, part 1, and then I have here below that I have a description box, so I can say, this is what you will learn. Remember this one, and then I can actually then choose here whether or not the description will be shown on the lesson page. We'll get to that in a second, and then this the course, and then point 1, and then point 2. Now then I have some additional settings here. So appearance, I think it's good. So basically I don't want to display the last modified date on the page, so I'll untick that, and then display the page description. I think that's why we have the description there, and then the rest of these I'll get to later. So now save and return to course will then send me to this. So this is now, I have edit mode turned on. So now if I turn edit mode off, so this is more or less then the view how the students will see it. So you will see here's the lesson list. So you have the part 1 there, and then here you have it here, and here's then the description. And then if I click this, then I actually go into the content, and then if I click there, the not that the description box, but further down the show description, then the description will reappear here, and here's the actual material. So basically, I mean, on the lesson thing, I could just also, I mean, if I edit mode, I could just edit the topic, but then this in my view doesn't show up nicely. So if I edit the topic here and say some additional text, and then save changes, then okay, I can do some modifications here, but it doesn't show up in the content. So this is not really, I wouldn't use this to do any kind of major material, because then you don't really see from this what's going on. Okay, so this is now the sort of the first basic structure. So then you can add then another activity. So I'll just add here then, let's see, where's the quiz? So I'll add the quiz here, and now we will see. So this is like lesson 1 quiz. Here again the description, and then show the description, and then again we'll dig into these details of the quiz a little bit later, but just to show you then again the overall structure, let's again disable edit mode. So this is now, so you see the student sees that there's a part of a reading part, and then there's a quiz, and in order then to enter the quiz, again you just go here. Now of course there are no questions here, so we'll as I said, we'll get back to that. Now the next thing I wanted to discuss was really sort of how then to handle video. And my preferred way of doing video is to use the Vimeo distribution service. There's a number of reasons for that. And one is that if I share video from Vimeo, actually I have some really nice ways of controlling the video player content, so what will be shown there. So for instance, if I use a YouTube video, then I have much less control over what is being shown. For instance, like the YouTube logos and things like that, will typically then show up. But here you can actually take away almost everything. So I like this layout here. Here's a simple sample video. So it has a play button here. It has the capability to adjust the volume. I have a settings button here, which is essentially for the quality. So if I want to just choose the bit rate, so if I'm on a bad connection on a small phone, then I could choose like a small one. Or if I'm on a laptop, I can choose a good one. And then the last one then is the capability to go full screen. So these will now that are shown here will also be the ones then that the students will see when they actually use the video. The other great thing about Vimeo is that once you have uploaded a video to Vimeo and you find that actually you made a mistake and you want to fix it, you can actually replace the old video and none of the settings will be lost. So the links or the embed code to get it, all the settings, all that will still remain, and the only thing that will change is the actual content of the video. So that means that if you need to fix something in the video, if you need to make a new version due to something, then it doesn't create additional hassle. You don't need to change anything on the Moodle system once you've uploaded or taken the video into use. So let's look at a couple of the things. So here's now the video, and then I can now edit the appearance. So I have a preset here, that I'm using, but then, we can see the details. So here's all the colors that I can use. So if I have some specific brand that I want to sort of mimic in the video or something like that, I can do that. And then for engagements, I can hide likes, watch later, share, embed all of these uh, things that I don't really want students to be able to do on the videos that they're seeing uh, on the Moodle platform in the course. And okay, so now this is video page only. Basically, I guess I should disable that as well, so I don't need to download it from here. And then also like title and so on, all of these I will hide. Video page means like if somebody would see the video here in Vimeo, these would apply. And so here is then the most important field, and this is where we control then actually the controls that are visible here. So volume, it's this one. Quality, it is this one, the bit rate that you are being, or the sort of actually the pixel size of the video to be quite exact, and then being able to go full screen. So that's this one. So I only have these enabled, and now because I took away the download there, I need to save. So this allows me to very nicely control what the students can actually do when they interact then with the video. So essentially what they can do now is start and stop, but for instance, they can't go to the end or they can't change the speed or something like that. If I compare to Lifter LMS, there was actually one feature in Lifter LMS which was very nice, which is not there on Moodle, is that I could actually sort of say that students had to watch the video to the end. And that capability I don't have in Moodle, so we have to rely on the quiz to actually make sure that the students did what they were supposed to do. Okay, so that's the appearance. Then nowadays it's quite important that we have subtitles, for accessibility. So essentially here you can upload subtitles. Vimeo, just like YouTube, has the capability to auto-generate the subtitles, but the quality of those auto-generated subtitles is, in my opinion, not good enough. So I would definitely generate them external to Vimeo and then make sure that I check them that they're actually correct, and then I can just basically upload them here. Select what language it is, and then is it captions or then actually then upload a file. This example file doesn't have any audio, so it doesn't make sense here. The last thing then to look at is then something that's called interactive. And some of these things are not actually available now for or on the level of Vimeo that we have now. But the interesting thing here really is the end screen, and that is, once the video has played, what is then being shown at the end of the video to the students. And here there are some options, and essentially what I think then is the optimal one is thumbnail, which then essentially just means that the video will kind of essentially sort of go back to the beginning and you can replay it. So that I think is the good thing here to happen. I mean, if you, for instance, have more videos, then it will show other Vimeo videos from the same account and so on. And of course, in a course, that doesn't make sense. So thumbnail, I think, is the right choice here. So okay, so how to go about then actually then getting this video to the Moodle platform. So we have the share button here, and again, there's a number of ways in which you can do this. So of course, personally, I think that the good way now is to use the embed code. So now embed code has been copied to the clipboard. So now what I can do here is I can go back to my course, and then let's create, go into edit mode and go to the lesson, and then create another activity or resource. And now, surprisingly perhaps, I'm not going to do a media or anything like that. I'm just going to use another page. So this is and then I'm going to go into actually HTML mode, and then I'm going to paste the embed code from video. So this is what it looks like. You don't need to understand what it means if you don't want to, but this is the code now that I copied from Vimeo. And basically then what this does is it will then show up here very nicely as a video. So let's no, I posted it, of course, in the wrong place. I posted it in the description. Wasn't my intention. So let's do this again. So this is like now. Show that one on course base. Okay, so let's call this is the video, and then let's do the same thing here. So this small arrow opens up some more tools, and this opens up the HTML thing, and then I'm just going to be posting it there, and choose appearance, take away again the last modified date, display. Well, I don't really want this page description on this one, and then save and return. So now we have the video here with its description, and then if I go, let's turn off edit mode, then if I go to the Vimeo video, then it shows up as a very nice full screen video or full width video if we think about the Moodle display area, and you don't have to worry about the size and so on. And now I can play the video from here. It's taking a little bit of time, but here is then the video material. So this, I think, is a very nice way then of actually integrating video material with Vimeo. The one thing, of course, that we have to remember, or you have to remember, is that the functionality that I've shown you with controlling the interface is not available on the free version of Vimeo. So you need some sort of paid for version of Vimeo, but the cheapest possible version of Vimeo that you actually, where you pay, has the control features here that you need to actually do this. Okay, so next, let's look a little bit at how to set up then a quiz. So essentially then, if we go in here and edit settings, so there's actually quite a lot of different settings that we will be discussing, but then let's first add a question. So if you go here, it looks a little bit, how should I say, counterintuitive, but actually, here's then what you want to do. So you want to add a question. You might have some in the question bank, so you could add something that you already have defined, but then, let's do a new one. So this is the new question, and then let's see, what would be a good thing. So I'll just take simple multiple choice question here in this situation. So here is then the question name. So this is like question 1, question text. So what is the number coming after 1? Pretty simple. And then we then, here is some what is called then different kind of things. So what we found then useful is to use something called general feedback, because this, we actually found a way how to make some use of this. So we can say hint. So if you want to make a helpful hint, and then we get into the answer. So here's 1. Okay, so that's not right. 2 and 3. Okay, and for if you get this one, then you get 100 points. So that's the right answer. And save changes. And now we have a quiz here. Okay. So let's see. First of all, here's what this means here. Always latest means that if you edit, the quiz, you can do that. Then it will create different versions of it. And always latest means that you will use, whatever the latest version is that you have, that you've most recently edited. Here's how many points you get for this one. And then, for this overall quiz, what is the maximum grade? So if we just have this one, then of course, you can only get 1 point out of this. Let's make it 2, so it's a little bit more interesting, and add a second question here. Add, what should we do this time? All or nothing, multiple choice. So question name, question 2, question text, what letter comes after 8? Again, hint, this is not D. And then here we have A, we have B, and we have C. And B is the correct one. So that's one way of doing this. And then save changes. And now again we have 2 quizzes, and now let's do this properly. So now basically then, so you get 1 point for this one, 1 point for this one, so the maximum you can get for this is 2. So let's just for a second turn off edit mode. It's there, and now basically then I can go in here and do the quiz. And now here's then the question. So 213. Okay, so we had shuffling here. So A is now going to be the correct answer. And then the other quiz is then on a new page. So here it's been shuffled. So what comes after B? So basically it's B. And now then the student needs to finish the attempt and submit all and finish. So now essentially this is then what they will see. They will see that they got a 2 out of 2 because both answers were correct. And now this then, what is being shown here now we can then modify in the settings. So let's go and turn on edit mode and go into the settings and take a little bit of look at settings. So first of all, what do we have here? So timing, this is when the quiz is open. So essentially, we don't use any of this. So just leave this one empty. Then we have grade. And then this is now where it gets a bit more interesting. So there's the idea that an individual quiz can be a pass or a fail. So we'll get into the exact meaning of this, but now because we had a maximum grade of 2, so in order to pass then on this one, you need a 1. So that means that you need to have one of the 2 questions you need to have right to actually pass. And then you can limit how many times you can try. So we used 2. Of course, if you have unlimited times, over time the student will exhaust all alternatives and finally get it right. And then here's the highest grade means that the best answer that the student has done will count towards the actual final result. Layout. So this is what we have. Every question was on a new page. So that's why it behaved like that. So you can change here. So if you want to, every 2 questions, every 5 questions. So if you want to have a more compact setup, personally I like this. And then question behavior. So shuffle within questions. So now this was why the order was random. So you can choose yes or no. And then this is where it's actually very interesting. But okay, deferred feedback. These modes some of these we were not actually able to really get to work in a meaningful way, but then deferred feedback means that you will get some feedback then after you have actually submitted the thing. And then what you will actually get then you will set then here is in what is called review options. Okay, so this is then review options is really about what kind of information about the quiz you show to the student, during the quiz or during the attempt. So essentially what we have here is during the attempt, quite frankly, at least the way we want to do this, we don't want to show immediately, for instance, when the student clicks the option whether it's right or wrong. So we don't want to do that. So there's really nothing here that we want to show during the attempt. But then we have immediately after the attempt when it has been submitted. So what would be the feedback? So we will then show the attempt and we will show whether it's correct, and then, for instance, the feedback. But we will not show right answer, and then we will show overall feedback marks. So this you can now change. So and then later doesn't really make sense to have any additional information shown there. So this is just the number of attempts. Okay, so let's get back to this in a second and see how this now behaves. And then appearance. safe browser, some other things. We don't really want to do that. Overall feedback, we don't want that in this case. So one thing that we kind of do, because the setup here is you can choose the language of Moodle, but then in order to actually create a consistent interface here, so actually then I prefer to fix it to English because the course is in English, so then nothing will be shown. And then restrict access, we will get to this when we go through the sort of how to set up the overall course format. Okay, so save and return to course. Okay, to course. So then let's go to lesson 1. Turn off this. Go to the quiz, and we have now 2 attempts. So let's see now what happens. So what number comes after this? So let's now. I took away the order shuffling, so now it's in the order that I had. So now you can see nothing is shown here. So this was one of the behaviors that I wanted. And then next page, what letter comes after A? We'll just choose C. So now I have 2 wrong. So let's go then and see how this is now being shown. And then submit. And then finish. And now what happens here is that, okay, I chose, that it will, let's get back to the settings here for a second so we can see. So I chose here the review option. So I chose mark, general feedback. Okay, I chose overall feedback, but I didn't edit that, and then whether correct. So how is this now reflected? So here, this shows that this is wrong, and this is the general feedback. So this is the hint that I put there. And then here it shows the grade. So I got 0 out of 2, so essentially 0%. So this is now how we ended up setting up the things. So if this would have been the first attempt, I would have gotten to know that, okay, both of my answers were incorrect. I'm not being shown the correct answer. And then I get a little bit of a hint here, that it was not 3. So, okay, so kind of reduces this thing. I mean, we kind of want to encourage the students to get through the course, get through the quiz, but we don't want to make it so that we kind of spoon feed them that here's the correct answer. So this is, but then this is something where you really have to decide yourself how you want to run the quizzes and then experiment a little bit. But it's good to know that this part here, these review options, is really kind of the important place where you can then control what actually is being shown. So try out different alternatives and see what works for you. Okay, so this was now a little bit about the quizzes, and then let's look at how to set up the overall structure then of the course. So get back to you. I'll add a couple of more lessons, and then I'll get back to you, and we can see how we can set up the overall course structure. Okay, so now I've created some small additional material for the course, and then now let's think about how to complete the course. So essentially then we now have these different modules or lessons. So this top level session you can enable whether or not you have sort of course completion enabled. So whether you track it. So this is defaults to yes. So I think this is okay. Normally, at least on our setup, don't need to change that. So then let's think about then initial individual sort of session. So now we have this first part of this first lesson. So how do we know when a student has completed this. So there's a couple of alternatives now. So for this thing, we need then to go into the settings for the module. So there's actually a couple of things that I want to stress. So first of all, activity completion then. So how do we choose that? So now let's indicate, sort of show activity completed when conditions are met. So this enables us. There's also the thing where a student can put themselves, hey, I've done this. So if that's what you want to do, then you choose that. But here we had an activity completion condition. So for simple text-based thing like this, or the video session, we'll get to that. Then of course, the completion condition is there's just one. So the student has viewed this thing. You can set some kind of time limit, but again, if this is an online course that is being run constantly, then of course these times don't mean much. Okay, so now when I've set up this, then I'm actually then, let's see then in the next one. So now save and display. So now we have done this thing. So then let's go to the quiz and the settings, and then let's look at this. So now there's a couple of things. So first of all, activity completion, let's go to that one first. So let's indicate show the thing, and then what is it? Must have receive a grade. So essentially you must have done something, but then also a passing grade. So now if it's a quiz, then they must have done it enough to actually get a grade. And then of course, to us it kind of makes sense that they also pass. If you just want to grade them, and not kind of force them to pass everything, then if you had like the two alternatives, then you can put this one that okay, they tried all the available attempts. So if they tried, if you have 2 times or 3 times, they tried it 3 times, they didn't get better than this, then they're done. So if you have a situation where you still once the student have exhausted all the attempts, so if you have like 3 attempts and they tried 3 times and they still didn't get a pass mark, then you can still allow them to go on. But we had actually chosen to do it so that a criteria for passing the course is that you actually get a passing grade on every single quiz, because the quizzes were so simple. So there was no reason really, with 2 attempts not to sort of expect the students to get at least half the answers right on each attempt. And then you can also sort of force them, to use a minimum number of attempts. So if you want them to try like, at least 2 times before they move on, then you can force that. So now, basically now we have we have this one, but now we are actually have the capability to do something else, because now we can use the fact of whether a module has been completed or not. We can use that to actually then make sure that the students progress through the course in a specific order. So this is now then, let's go to this thing here, which is restrict access, and now add an activity completion criteria. So now choose an activity. So actually then we have this. Well, we can just, it's easy, if they're just, we have put them in the right order in Moodle, then it's simple. We just, can have previous activity with completion, or then, we can say that, okay, now, in order for a student to actually do this one, do the quiz, then, lesson 1 must be marked completed. And now, this means that now, after we've done this, now there's a small lock here. So it means then that you can't go to this quiz before you actually have completed, this lesson part 1. And then, okay, so that then we can go to Vimeo again and do the same thing. So do the page settings, and now activity completion. So again, indicate it, and the student must have viewed it. So this is where, it would be nice to have a sort of a specific, they have watched the whole video thing, but that one is not available here. And then restrict access. So now add a restriction, completion, and then, we had the quiz, and now basically we have, we have here. So now you can do lesson 1, and then after that you have to do quiz and video in order, in the right order. And then of course, I can go here now to lesson 2, session 1, and now I can do the settings here again. So it's also from the previous one. So again, activity completion, same thing, if this is visited, and then restrict access, activity completion, and then I can choose now the Vimeo video. And now I have ordered all of those to be in the right order. Simple. If I then want to make something optional, but I don't necessarily want to make it available to the whole world, so then what I can do then is I can simply then, for this one, I can do an activity sort of restrict. I'm not going to require them to complete the thing, and so now this is a bit more elaborate, because now I chose, this is actually a lesson type, but here then I can say, if I don't want students to be able to do this, but I don't care about the order, then for instance I can then use, for instance, role. So I can say that, okay, it must be student. So now essentially this is also locked, but it's not locked in the sense that you have to do it in a certain order. But if you're not enrolled to the course, if you're not a student of the course, then you can't see this. Then we have the optional lesson here, and this of course then is something, if you want to make something optional, again I would recommend still restricting access, to this one. Okay, because there's now it came there, so then took a little bit of time. So now row and student and save. So now if we look at the structure, so this means that in this situation, the general, if I would have an introduction, some kind of a welcome message, or some general course notes on how the course is completed. So I don't have any material here, but this stuff that would be here in the general section, then that would be visible by anybody who has an account on the system. You don't need to be enrolled to necessarily see it. You could see it from the course overview page. And then essentially in this situation, lesson 1, anybody could take that. So if you wanted to offer that as a little bit of a taster or something like that, so lesson 1 anybody could do that, because there are no access restrictions. But then once you've done this, then the rest of the course, you can only access if you're actually enrolled. Okay, so now we're getting pretty close to the end. Just wanted to show you kind of why we're not very keen on this lesson thing. So this is actually, the Moodle lesson construct is quite complex. So if you just have a very simple material where there's reading, video, or something like that, and quizzes, then actually I think that it's much simpler, much more sort of, how should I say, understandable also for the students, what's going to happen if you do it like this. Personally, I think that this Moodle lesson model is extremely elaborate. So I would not, for a simple online session, I would not use that. Okay, so now we're getting close to the end. There's one more thing I want to go through, and that's then how you actually, get a grade or get, the whole course completed. So let's take a look at that next. So to then kind of round things off, then let's go here to the first page here, and here we have an option more. So now here we have something that's called course completion. So here now is how you actually then set this thing up. So course is completed when all conditions are met, and then here is actually the one that I normally would use then. So these are now the lessons or lectures or parts of the course that actually have a completion condition set to them. So in order to complete the thing, you need to do the lesson one, you need to answer the quiz, you need to watch the video, and you need to do the page, sort of the second or the first session in the second lesson. And now if you've done all of these, then after that, then Moodle will automatically think that you have completed the course. So you can see that you can't select here those that don't have a completion condition. So if you have left a lesson without a completion condition, then essentially then they kind of, from the perspective of actually getting, completing the course, they become optional. So then, date, how long it's been, if you want to get a grade. So if I want to, in our situation, for instance, in our course, we didn't need this because we required that every single quiz, you just get points from the quiz. So we required that every single quiz need to be passed. So essentially, we didn't need to do this. If you have a different approach with actually then grading individual quizzes, and you can actually sort of pass a quiz without getting the sort of the minimum points for passing that quiz, then you can have an overall course grade that you require. And then again, this is in terms of the points that you collect then from the quiz. So if you remember, this quiz that we had there was 2. So if I would have enabled this, then the overall course grade to pass this, so it would actually be just 1, because getting one of those 2 questions right, you would have gotten 1 point, and that would be enough to pass this. Okay, so I'll disable that, and now with this, actually then the course is more or less done. Okay, so there's a couple of gotchas that it's good to be aware of. They're perhaps not that serious, but let's first sort of think that, okay, in Lifter, there's a clear separation between me as a teacher and then the student role. But here, actually, if I'm now going into, I can change my role to student. And now you see the fact that as a teacher, actually, I watched these sessions here. They're marked as green because it means that actually the system thinks that I have completed them, because I have fulfilled the completion condition of actually watching them. So what that means now then is that if I go back to my regular teacher role, and now let's take, for instance, this one, I want to edit it, so settings. So now, for instance, if I want to change the completion condition, now it kind of says that, okay, already somebody has participated, somebody has done this course, and therefore I should not actually change the completion condition so that it's the same for everybody. okay, I can unlock this, but this kind of becomes, sort of an extra, a little bit unnecessary step where I kind of have to override the system. So therefore, I would recommend that the way you actually go about editing this is that you do all the content and stuff like that, and then you only do when you're absolutely happy with all the content. That's when you actually then add there, the restrictions and the access restrictions and the completion conditions, because that just makes your life during the rest of the editing so much easier. If you do those immediately, then you have, if you need to change something here, you have to go through this process all the time. Of course, it also means that, if I'm now doing the quizzes here and things like that, then I can't kind of get a fresh look. So it's so for instance, for quizzes, if you want to test that, sort of adding the number of times you can try and things like that, I would only do at the very end, so that it doesn't interfere then with the testing along the way. So that's kind of one thing that small thing to pay attention to. Okay, that's all for today. I hope you found this useful and interesting, and wish you best luck with actually implementing online courses on Moodle. Thanks.